War Eagle Auburn family, welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together and we talk about what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum. On tonight's live stream, it's an exciting one. It's a live reaction. You all asked for it. You all are getting it. We're talking about Auburn versus LSU, and the Auburn Tigers get the win to start off SEC play in men's basketball 70-55. That is what is on tap here tonight on this live stream. However, you are watching tonight, whether it's live or on the replay, we appreciate you being here, hanging out with us. Just spend a few minutes of your hard-earned time to hang out with us and talk about this game, your reaction to it, my reaction to it, thoughts, impressions, all that kind of stuff. It's all fair game. And it is a Wednesday night. And you know what that means? Headphones are on, so you can call in. Now, the link is not posted at the top, but I'm going to put that out there for you guys in the comment section on YouTube here in just a second so you can take advantage of it if you'd like to, but it is technically an open mic night. As you come into the live stream tonight, please do make sure you do a couple of things for you. If you enjoy this type of content, please make sure you support it by smashing that like button, but also please make sure you share it out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Those of you that are watching there as well, it does help the stream out, helps our channel grow if you could do that for us. Also, right now in the comments, post where you're watching from, city, state, international, with a War Eagle. Let me know who's here hanging out tonight to talk about this amazing game and this amazing Auburn basketball team. And I might step out on a limb tonight and make a few predictions about this team. I might be ready to start, putting myself out there a little bit more about this team and saying exactly how I feel about it based off of not just this game, but this season so far. But obviously, this game is validation for a lot of the things that a lot of us have been feeling and seeing. We can discuss all of that tonight. I do appreciate so many people are already being in the chat tonight. Like I said, we always do a Wednesday night live stream. But you all requested this one especially because it's not our normal time and you wanted it. So, like I said, if you ask for it, you get it sometimes. Let's see who's already here. We got Big Simp in the house, War Eagle, Kessler, Johnson, Boom. There are a lot of contributors tonight and a lot of people that don't show up in the stat line that need to be thanked and need to be acknowledged. And we're going to try to do that tonight. Corey from Hoover, good to see you. Big Simp says the team is on fire. Can we rank them amongst the best or is it too early? We were going to discuss that. It's a great question, and it's probably the crux of what I'm going to talk about tonight. Kessler is, yes, he's something else. I thought a lot about when he came in that I was excited. I knew we were getting a great talent, but I didn't know if that talent was had it arrived yet. It's not just this game. I want to stress that tonight. The things that I'm going to say, the things that a lot of you are saying are not just based off of one game. This game is the validation of what we've been seeing, not just about individuals, but about this team as well. Let's see who else is here. Neil White, War Eagle. Good to see you from Sacramento, California, Wood to Lane. Man, we got people from all over tonight. Tupelo, Mississippi in the house. People on Facebook. My friend Blake over there saying hello. Say it, bro. I know what you're thinking about him. I feel it too. Corey, I don't want to say it myself because I have this bad superstition. If I say it, it's not going to come true. I know I have no control over the team whatsoever, but it's just something I don't feel like. By the way, Corey is one of our Booster Club members. Speaking of Booster Club members and channel members, David Wells, thank you so much, sir. It's been good chatting with you in the Booster Club. Glad to see that you've made a live show tonight as well. By the way, channel members here, which most of you are Booster Club members too. I sent out a message today that you guys, your little icons that go next to your names have been adjusted a little bit to make them look a little bit better. And then you have those little special emojis, the tiger, the eagle, the roll of toilet paper that you can throw whenever you want. So utilize those, please. I want to start seeing some of those. Neil says the SDS bros said LSU was the best team in the SEC. SDS says a lot of things. Many publications say a lot of things. Doesn't mean that it's necessarily true, right? We'll see here. Christopher Cooper, Final Four, baby. Yeah, listen, Plainsman Murph, one of our channel members, sir. I appreciate your support. I cannot agree with that more. I hated Katie Johnson when he was on the Georgia sideline. I love him now. And that's the type of player it is. You hate him. He is everyone's Michael Carrera. Now, most of you aren't going to remember who that is, but he was this annoying bug of a person on South Carolina's team forever. Annoyed the crap out of me, and it just didn't make sense why he was good at basketball, because he didn't look good at basketball, but somehow he was. KD Johnson is good at basketball. It makes sense that he is, but he's just annoying, just like Michael Carrera. I can admit that as an Auburn Tiger fan, but that annoying in a good way. Yahari, good to see you. Kessler was the MVP tonight. So here's the great thing already with this chat tonight, guys. It's going to be hard to keep up with all your comments, so please do. I ask for your patience with that. But this is a lot more positive than we had yesterday, and you can already tell that the excitement and the fervor for some Auburn sports is back in the hearts of the Auburn family. All right, with that, I'm going to open up the call lines. Now, it is not pinned at the top, and I don't think I can pin it here. I cannot. But I have posted it right now in the chat if you would like to take advantage of that. And please do, because I want to hear from you guys tonight. I love sharing my perspectives. That's why I do this channel, the podcast network. But I want to make sure that you guys have your chance to be heard and to be seen and have your opinions shared on here. We have to acknowledge something, David. You are too kind, sir. David, your support for this channel continues to, just amaze me. I appreciate that. And I know what you're smelling, and it ain't what The Rock is cooking. I'm not going to say the word because I'm not going to jinx us, but I know what you're saying. Thank you, sir, for that kind donation. You're the best as always. Devin's in the house. Good to see you, Devin from Texas. We got California, Mississippi, obviously Auburn, Georgia, Florida, Texas. I said that already. A lot of people checking in from across the country, Auburn Tiger fans. Let's see here. Julie is here, says, enjoyed watching, but definitely feel like we could clean up some of our fast breaks. Feel like we are out of control at times, but otherwise I am happy with the rest. Yes. Well, this is not something that's new to Auburn basketball, right? This is something that Coach Pearl, it's his style of play. He kind of lets his players do this type of thing. It can frustrate you, but it can also frustrate the other opponent, right? Sometimes that's what people that's why they can't keep up with us, is because of how fast, how somewhat unpredictable we are at times, because coach just lets them play. And there's a fine line and a certain amount of trust that has to be developed for coach to warrant doing that with a team. And you can see why this team is given so much freedom. There's a reason Wendell Green gets to shoot the ball from half court and not be questioned, at least publicly, by the coaching staff. And his teammates just believe it's going to go in, because that relationship has been built, that trust has been built, and there's a reason why this talent is being allowed to flourish and sometimes frustrate themselves at times. But I hear you. There are just because this team is really, really good doesn't mean this team is still without its flaws and things that can be exploited. This team got out to, what was it, 17-1, 17-0 run, and should have put this LSU team away. LSU came fighting back, and some of that credit goes to LSU. It's a good basketball team, but you saw some of those problems rear its ugly head. They allowed LSU to kind of get back within single digits, a little bit closer than they should have. The problem is we are just too good for them. Neil says this is a much better stream already. Obviously, listen, it's part of the Auburn experience, the up and down roller coaster. I wish it wasn't that way, but also I do wish it was that way, because, we have a unique experience, and I don't want it to just be boring the entire time. I wish for fewer valleys than peaks, though. I don't know. I guess valleys and peaks kind of ebb and, I don't know. I'm trying to do math there in my head that didn't work out. Good thing when your star player had a quiet night, but still balled out lots. Speaks volumes of this team. It absolutely did. The announcer, Jabari Smith, 16 points tonight, is tied for the leading scorers. But that's what everybody was calling, is a quiet night. They're expecting him to do a little bit more. He got a 3 kind of late there that kind of put him up there with the top scorers. So it was a quiet night, but it was only quiet in the fact that he was making his presence felt when big shots needed to be made, big rebounds, blocks needed to be made. Speaking of blocks, Walker Kessler, man, what a guy. Johnson did keep Kessler from getting that 10th rebound for the triple-double, but I'm sure Kessler doesn't care. Kessler cares about W's, not blocks. I am very, very sure. Kevin from Daphne, thank you, sir. One of our Booster Club members and channel members. Thank you for being here. We got San Antonio checking in too. And I agree. Thank you for the reminder, David, for hitting the like button if you enjoy this type of content. All right, I can see some of our channel members using the things. I know it doesn't show up here in the way this little on my screen, my application that I use to talk to you and bring your comments up. It doesn't show it technically, but I know it is showing up on YouTube. So I'm glad you guys are utilizing those. Carrie wants to know if we can talk about football in the stream. So, Carrie, typically on Wednesday nights, it's an open forum. Tonight, though, and I'm still kind of figuring out how we're going to manage all this basketball content for you guys, what you guys want out of it. So probably tonight we're not going to be discussing football because of it's not that fun right at the moment, and we've got something great to talk about here. Kevin brings up an even better point here. As good as this team is, that atmosphere is second to none in the SEC. And I will argue second to none. You could probably make better cases. You know, Cameron, was it Cameron Indoor and all that kind of stuff. There's some probably formidable places in the ACC in terms of atmosphere, but Auburn Arena, students, fans, faculty showed out tonight. Incredible. I am so mad that I was there. There was a slight chance that I could have been there tonight, and I'm not mad that the opportunities didn't come through in terms of people that are trying to help me get there, but it's just disappointing to not be in an atmosphere like that at some point. Let's see. Yahari says several flaws, but I never questioned their hustle, determination, got to clean it up. SEC teams can capitalize off of sloppiness, and you saw LSU do that tonight. Now, let's go ahead and talk about this fact. Can we all agree that Auburn and LSU, based off of the non-conference records and performances, based off of how other teams so far in the SEC are faring against each other, and there's only been a few so far today, Auburn and LSU are by far and away the best two teams, and Auburn, as it stands right now, is the best team in the SEC. Now, when I say that, you look at the rankings now as it falls. Auburn is now let me back up. Auburn and LSU both have one loss. LSU's being to Auburn, Auburn's being to UConn. Effectively, Auburn is now ahead of LSU because of the whole tiebreaker situation. So Auburn, by schedules, by rankings, all that kind of stuff, is the best team in the SEC. Will it stay that way? That is the big question, and we will see. Neil feels it coming that we're going to go into that hangar of a stadium and beat up on the Alabama Crimson Tide. We shall see, my friend. They've got a good squad over there. I think they're starting their game right now. With several players out for Tennessee, I think that's who they're playing. So we'll see how that shakes out. We shouldn't have had to play them that close, but I'm glad we got the W. No, Jacob, I disagree a little bit, buddy. I think LSU is the second best team in the SEC right now, and playing them that close is expected. This is a good team that can exploit weaknesses, and they found some moments where Auburn was not playing its best and had themselves an opportunity to get back into this game. Destroying Kentucky would be a lot better for me. Yeah, it's interesting that it would make sense when Bruce Pearl got here that there would be a little bit of a rivalry and importance between the Auburn-Tennessee matchup every year. It would make sense for the Auburn-Alabama rivalry to get even more intense, and you could see LSU as well. What's been interesting has been watching Auburn versus Kentucky becoming one of the marquee matchups, not just in the SEC, but in college basketball every single year now. So that's going to be interesting to watch how that shakes out. And then people are starting to wonder, is Kentucky as good as people think they are? Can they compete for the SEC? And Auburn's not really getting questioned for that at this point. The question is, how good is Auburn? Not will they compete for the SEC? Not will they show up in the tournament? Not can they likely end up past an Elite Eight? But how far will they go? Kessler had 9 blocks, I believe. That 10th one we were alluding to, Katie Johnson kind of slipped and got him out of his got it out of his hand here. All right, I will have to bump forward here just a little bit, trying to keep up with some of the chat here. Glad you didn't buy a ticket. Heard they were over $500. They were. I had a couple of friends that thought they might have some extra tickets for me to go. But here I am in E2C Network headquarters, which is great. By the way, I know this is not really relevant to the stream, but I always ask you guys because the show is by you technically and for you. How does the lighting look? Is it good, better, worse? Got a new little lighting structure for Christmas that I'm working with, trying to figure out how best to use it. So let me know. Plainsman Murph says, Coach Pearl will emphasize set plays and discipline as we get further into the SEC schedule. We'll need to get that on the road this year. That's so really think about it this way. This LSU game was really a legitimizer for was the Auburn that we saw in non-conference play as good as we thought? Yes. That the answer is definitively yes now. What happens when Auburn goes on the road in the SEC is the next big thing. Now, South Carolina is the next big game, or the next game about a week away. I don't think you'll get a true humongous test on the road in the SEC against South Carolina, but it's still the road games in the SEC. Those bigger ones are coming up. You'll after that come back home to Florida. That'll be another big test. But the real big question is how this team performs on the road in the SEC. And that's kind of the next benchmark for how far this team can go and how good this team is going to be. Raven, yeah, we've had a lot of people point that out, that they were a little bit sloppy on fast breaks. Turnovers, 21 for Auburn to 17 for LSU. They lose that battle. That's not typically something that you see with a team that wins, where they win, they still win if they lose the turnover battle. Now, there are some areas where Auburn exceeded expectations, which kind of compensated for some of that. You know, when I look at the stats here, there's usually a couple of areas I look at to determine who wins the game. For me personally, I'm not saying that that's the surefire way, but that's kind of what I do. By the way, I just posted the link again. If you'd like to call in, all you have to do is click it. You can be on camera or off camera. You can just call in like you're on the telephone. No pressure, but if you'd like to take advantage of that, you can. Turnovers, rebounds, free throws. That's the big three. Tonight, Auburn, not great in my opinion at free throws, 65%, 17 for 26. They lose the turnover battle, 17 to 21. They do win rebounds, which is 37 for 43. So why did they win? Could just be the talent. You look at some of these other blocks, 2 for LSU, 14 for Auburn, the 9 from Kessler, and the other 5 spread out elsewhere. Absolutely incredible. And people have already pointed out too that we were sloppy on the fast break tonight. You can see it even here on the fast break. 12 for LSU points wise, and only 7 for Auburn, and that's usually our bread and butter. So it makes you wonder: had we been a little bit more crisp on fast breaks tonight, how bad this could have been for LSU. Corey says it's time that Kentucky gets dethroned. I'm not saying that Kentucky has been dethroned, but I do think they have lost their place as the godfather of SEC basketball in modern times. You know, this isn't a time period where we're just asking who can beat LSU. Kentucky. We're asking the question, can Kentucky beat X, Y, Z to be the champion again? And that in that equation right now is Auburn, it's LSU. You know, you can still kind of throw Alabama in there too. Tennessee's got a case to make. But really, that's become the question, not will they be or how badly will they beat everybody else? Is can they get to that championship level of the SEC? Raven also points out that we need a little bit better body control. I think a lot of it tonight is the hype of the arena. And I know that seems a little bit simplistic and maybe almost, I won't call it like a cop-out, but that really does play into it a lot. You know, it's not like this team hasn't played in big events already. They're in the Bahama Invitation, whatever it's called, Battle for Atlantis. They've been at some very tough environments already. So it's not like they haven't seen it, but this was the impact of this game, the importance of this game has been palpable for the last week over the holiday season. And I think that's what you're seeing, a lot of those nerves, a lot of that excitement come come out all of a sudden. Jay says, how bad is LSU? LSU's not bad. LSU's not a bad team. In fact, I'd love to see us play them in Baton Rouge. We won't get that opportunity this year, if I looked at our schedule correctly. But yeah, LSU is not a bad team. I can't talk about Auburn without mentioning the horrible calls by the refs. Yeah, there was, again, it's the case of being an Auburn fan. It feels like every time that doesn't go our way. Luckily, tonight it didn't make much of a difference. But overall, it does feel like sometimes we get the short end of the stick in terms of the referee situations there. My always thing with refs is they should not affect the flow of the game, and there were points tonight for both teams where they were affecting the flow of the game. You love the lighting. I want those I kind of want those lights. Well, I'm not talking about the Christmas lights back here. Those will go away in just a little while since the holiday season's over. But I meant the lighting that I have in front of me, if it's showing up well, if you guys like that type of thing. WT Gardner, great point. What was up with all the moisture tonight on the floor? I know people were talking about the humidity outside and all that kind of stuff, but I can't recall that we've had that issue as much. This arena has been built for over a decade now, right? I think. Doing math in my head. Yes. Almost a decade, if not more than a decade. And there's been humid, winters where we have the southeast where we kind of go up and down, cold, humid, cold, humid, cold, humid. So I don't know what the deal was tonight with that. It's got a little dangerous out there for everybody. If Auburn can play as good as they have been, they could legitimately finish as top 4 team. Listen, you hear me talk about this all the time. Don't worry so much about the rankings. And I stress that more here in basketball. Rankings I can actually say this is not even like a subjective thing anymore. I can objectively say this. Rankings don't matter. The RPI rankings matter, or your net rankings now, as I think the new one that they kind of discuss in terms of where you fall into that. Your quadrant 1 wins, or quadrant 2 wins, or quadrant 1 losses, quadrant 2 losses. Those are the things that matters in figuring out your true ranking. But yes, in terms of perception wise, those rankings that you see come out every week, Auburn has the talent to be in the top 5, the top 10, and they probably likely will be after this win next week. But let's wait and see. All right. Vols up by 3 is what I love to hear right now. Yes, Auburn has a lot of height, and it's very interesting because during the time of Coach Pearl, we went from our center being 6'8" to 2 guys that are 6'10" and higher, and then there's more height there as well. Cardwell, and then even some of our guards are a lot bigger. Chris Moore, a Devin Cambridge. They've got a little bit more length and size to them than we've been used to in the past. So this is a very much bigger team, but it's not just height. It's height that is more than height. It's height that can shoot, that can dribble, that can pass. It's just talent. It's just really good talent. Yes, Rob, I agree. Got to lower the turnovers. Got to get the free throw percentage better. It is free throws for a reason. Take them, please. How many points came from the bench tonight? Well, let's look over here on my magic board and find out. Your starters tonight were Katie Johnson. We need to talk about that, actually. Jabari Smith, Zep Jasper, Walker Kessler, and Alan Flanagan getting his first official start, with Devin Cambridge out with a medical issue tonight, which means that 6, 4, doing quick math, 2, and 1. So that is 13 points off the bench. And that's over here on my other list. It says 19. So I must be missing somebody in that equation. 19 points off of the bench is what I have listed on this flow chart over here for Auburn. Pretty good overall. You'd like to see a little bit more, most of those coming from Wendell Green, who is basically the 6th starter at this point. He just comes off the bench very quickly and sees pretty significant amount of time. But I was shocked tonight how much time Chris Moore got. I know that Devin Cambridge was out. I know that that opened up an opportunity for him to play some more, but I just didn't expect that. He was, I think, very crucial tonight in some areas, playing very big, as we talked about earlier, a big guard, more of a swingman type. So yeah, good production by the bench, could be a little bit better. And we might have been able to make this a little bit more comfortable than it was. I don't even worry about free throws anymore. It gives me a headache. I'm sorry. Listen, Big Simp, that is my thing. I have it drilled into me from my days in basketball. We had to exit the gym with 10 straight free throws. Couldn't exit the gym without it. And that's why I'm such a stickler for it. Joe, good to see you, my friend. Thanks for being here. One of our Booster Club members. Again, I got to come up with a name for everybody who's a channel member here, but also a Booster Club member. Y'all deserve an extra signifier or name. I don't know how we could come up with something like that. Savage Beast. I see you're pretty adamant about this in the comments. Let me look over here. In fact, let me refresh to make sure something hasn't been corrected in the stat sheet, because I want to make sure we're giving you guys the most correct stat line. The program that I'm using has, where is he? Kessler. 9. Well, actually, hold on. Back up over here. It may have changed on me. And this is why you always check. Walker Kessler with 11 blocks. That is correct. Well, sometimes, persistence pays off. So this is why you have to check things and refresh things right after the game, because things get changed sometimes. Rob, yes, we did miss Cambridge on the court. He brings a certain amount of energy alongside Katie Johnson. I don't consider Devin, I was about to say a crucial part. I do consider him a crucial part, but he's not someone that changes the way that your lineup works like a Jabari Smith does, a Walker Kessler does, a Zep Jasper does. There are several people that can be fitted in and mixed and matched with different lineup types. So it wasn't like the worst thing in the world to be without him tonight. However, I would have loved to have seen him getting a chance at LSU. My sister she enjoyed your tickets tonight. Why weren't you there, Rob? Oh, I'm jealous of that. Can we get him to be OC in DC? No, listen, I want Bruce Pearl focused on basketball because it's paying big dividends right now. Neil, I was wondering when we were going to get a LSU joke tonight about the water on the floor with some of the LSU players wetting their shorts in fear. Oh, goodness. Yeah, I was trying to think of a joke myself. I have posted in the chat again the call-in link if you'd like to take advantage of it. No pressure to do that tonight, but it is there if you want to take advantage of it. Shout out to Alan Flanagan. He was the difference maker tonight. He's not even in game shape yet. I'm surprised with how well he is performing, even with a short time back from his injury. What's his second game? And tonight he gets double digits with 10 points, 6 rebounds, and 1 assist tonight. Only 2 personal fouls. So he seems to be playing smart, playing the caliber that a player that he's become, the talent that he's developed within himself over the last couple of seasons hasn't been affected really, it seems like. And you're right. Once he gets into better shape, rhythm, things like that, that's when you're going to really see this come out. I'm going to do a video eventually once holidays settle down, because I do have a couple more things going on with my schedule coming up here. But I want to do a little edited video where we discuss what the lineup could look like when officially Alan Flanagan looks, and we can all comfortably say he is back 100%. No question. What could the lineup look like? Because there's a lot of cases to be made about who could lose playing time, who doesn't deserve to lose playing time, all that kind of stuff. It's an equation I am so glad that I do not have to decide. It's all in Bruce Pearl to decide, and I am not envious of his his job to figure out who to give minutes to. Great question. Savage Beast says, do you think Jabari is going to go number 1 in the draft? Yes. I said yes immediately. I would say signs point currently that he has earned that spot, but it really just depends on who is the number 1 pick in terms of a team and what their needs are. That's the thing always. Everybody assumes that just because you're the best player in the particular sport that you're going to go number 1. Not the case. If the worst team in NFL is set at quarterback but have the worst offensive line, then they're going to go draft an offensive lineman first overall. And it happens a lot. So I would just say he looks the part. He probably will be heavily in the discussion for number one. It will depend on what NBA team is with the number one pick and what their needs are. And will also depend on how the rest of these other potential number ones go. You know, the guy from Gonzaga, forgetting the other guy. That's good. There's a lot of that factor that's still going to have to come into play. Staying healthy. Here's the thing about staying healthy, though, Rob, is just like tonight is a great example. Alan Flanagan's out, and not that he's not important, but there wasn't much of a problem. A few problems, but those are not things that necessarily he caused by his absence. So I think I don't know what application you're looking at, and this is why I think it was Savage earlier was correcting us, saying it was 11 blocks. You're probably looking at the rebounds. 11 blocks, 9 rebounds for Kessler tonight. Regardless, a great night for him overall. Let's see here. Harper has made it to the NBA. Someone finally seen that he is pretty good. So he's been in the NBA. He's still in a 2-way contract. So that doesn't mean necessarily that he's made it, but he's kind of doing the similar thing that he has been doing, proving that he deserves a look. Let's see here. I wish they would change the one and done rule, do it like football, give them 3 years and get drafted. You know, yes, the reason it's different, and there will be probably various reasons for why people tell you that it's different, but because football is such a much more physical sport, they want to be sure that your body is developed enough to be able to withstand the amount of talent that's about to be slamming into you in the NFL. It's much different in basketball. A lot of times kids, even though they may not have the same muscle mass as guys in the NBA, it's going to be not as big of an issue when you're trying to technically avoid contact for the most part, except for driving and things like that. So I hear you. It's 2 different sports. It makes sense that there'd be 2 different sets of standards. Listen, it won't matter if Auburn continues to bring in talent and continues to show that we can get you to the NFL. And right now, they are doing that. The NBA, excuse me. Apparently, Devin Cambridge is 43 in the 2023 mock draft. Yeah, I mean, he's got some potential to be up there. That's the question here: is who else is going to get drafted based on performances this season, but also the upcoming seasons? I don't know. Tennessee up 33-26. That's what I like to see. That's what I like. Keep those updates coming. All right, what I want to know from everybody right now. I think this might be an obvious answer, and it usually is in a basketball game, but who is your player of the game? Post that right now. Easy comment that you can put in the chat box right now. Who is your player of the game? Post it right now. You got a lot of good options here. If you're going off of points, Kessler, Jabari Smith, Wendell Green Jr., Katie Johnson, even though his points weren't high, just the other things that he does naturally are going to be some options there for you. So there's some good things there. Who continues to impress me, even though he doesn't bring in a lot of points, but he just shows that every time out he's on the floor that he deserves to be out there, is Lord Behrman. He's not my player of the game, but boy, he deserves to be out there on that floor and doesn't deserve to lose time out there on the floor when there's more people completely healthy. We got a Kessler. Blake says, Blake, knowing you, buddy, I know 100% why you picked Wendell Green. Point guards love point guards, but he's deserving of it too. We got another Kessler. We got a 2-parter, Kessler, Johnson, Kessler. I mean, it really is probably as simple as that. Rhodes on Facebook. Thanks for watching. Kessler. I feel you. I think Kessler, obviously, just stats wise tonight, takes the cake. I think you could make a case for Jabari again, just the way he does, the way he contributes in all areas of the game, not just points, but his ability to just turn around and knock down a shot is absolutely outstanding. LSU fan here. Good to see you. Stopped by to say good game after Auburn. Had a feeling the undefeated streak wouldn't last long. Well, I hope Jay that you're. I don't know how long you've been listening, but I have at least said that you guys are a good team, a great team in the SEC. I think it's fair for us to say, as of this point, record wise, that we're the number one team, and I would argue that you all are the number two team. And I would be interested to see what would happen in Baton Rouge. I'm not so sure Auburn would have as easy, or it wasn't easy tonight, but as easy of a time getting a win there. Not just because it's a home advantage for you, but because you have a really good team. So this is what Auburn fans you need to take away from tonight. You got a good I would assume is at this point a quadrant one win to add to your resume. You add that in with several of the other ones that you've had. You've already started building yourself a case that you're fine to make the tournament. Not saying we could lose every other game, but an LSU game, an LSU win definitely looks good at the end of the day. Lee, I'm not going to jump on your case about this, but I actually get a little bit about this whole we're a basketball school now. No, we're an everything school. Bruce even says it himself. Just because the football team had a not so great day doesn't mean we're not a football school. We are always everything Auburn, but I understand your frustration. Yes, that schedule is going to be grueling. We've already mentioned it. You got to go on the road to South Carolina, Florida coming up, Alabama, I think right after that in Coleman, I believe. It's not going to get in Tennessee. I think is shortly after that as well. There's very few off nights in the SEC in college basketball. It's the same way in college football. It's the same way in baseball. It's the same way. The best college sports are played in the Southeastern Conference as of this moment in the modern era. The hockey team. I love it that Corey and Dusty. Here's the thing: is Dusty is probably watching this on the replay because I haven't seen him pop in here yet. He said he's not getting some of his notifications. By the way, quick reminder: always double check every once in a while. I know a ton of y'all are subscribed, that your notification bell is still marked. Sometimes I think that gets unchecked for some reason, and it won't update you that we're going live because you have to have the notifications thing set to all. I don't know if he's had that similar problem, but he has been missing some of the updates. We were talking about that today. Florida is ranked, but I'm not sure where. But that will be important for us going forward. We are swimming, equestrian, however you spell it. That's right. You got it. Pretty good bass fishing. Yeah, we're in everything school. Kentucky and Florida at home, but Bama and Tennessee away. But you'll get Bama home because we always do two with them. And then we get Florida twice this year. So we'll have to go down to Gainesville and play them there, which will be a tough way to. I feel like Auburn never performs well. I shouldn't say never. Often does not perform well, even with Bruce Pearl in Gainesville. So that one would be very, very important. Kessler tonight. Cambridge was missed. He's gold with the alley oops. I agree, and that's probably why you didn't see a ton of the exciting dunks. Are we getting close to the time where this team is going to take the cake from the Flying Tigers? I think they used to be called, Chris Porter and all of them. I don't think we've reached that level yet. But it's getting close with the amount of athleticism these guys show above the rim. Florida is not ranked. Okay, well, I thought that they were. So if I remember, let's see, Auburn, LSU, Alabama, Tennessee, I know, and Kentucky are ranked. So that may be the 5. I thought Florida was in there. Regardless, Florida is going to be a tough matchup for Auburn because they usually bring good talent in there. All right, so I'm trying to figure out a way to ask this. Yes or no, is Auburn the best team in the SEC based off tonight's performance? Does anybody disagree with that? You can just type yes or no right now in the chat window. I'd love to hear your perspectives on that. If you've got reasons behind that, I'm interested if anybody wants to say no, because I'm not saying you'd be wrong. I'm just interested to know if anybody has a good reason to not consider Auburn the best team in the SEC right now. And I'll look at some of those in just a second. Yahari asked, just curious, why isn't Wendell starting? That is a great question and one we were asking earlier on. However, Just because you're starting doesn't mean it's a punishment. It just means that their lineup that starts has a better fit together of getting things going. If you'll notice in time, and I don't have it pulled up here, Wendell very rarely lacks in time. Probably always a little bit less than the starters, which is to be expected. But he is flourishing as the sixth man. He is basically starting. He just has to come off the bench and use a little bit less time because there's just too much talent out there on the floor. Let's see here. We got Corey with a yes. Let's see here. Yes for Devin. As of tonight, Yahari, yes. I don't know yet. David, what's your reasoning? I'd love to hear it. Yes, but Tennessee is debatable if they beat Alabama. Yes. Yeah, so I think that's the prevailing theme tonight is that Auburn is the best team in the SEC. Savage, I will agree with you that, and I know I've got my orange and blue glasses on, but Alabama tends to be a little bit overrated lately. I think in basketball they do have great talent. Their coach seems to be pretty solid, but they don't seem to finish. You know, it's the case in point of what they're struggling with right now. Tennessee may be a very good team, but you know the way people talk them up, you expect them to be beating Tennessee at this point. Let's see here. Back it up just a second. State beat Arkansas. Yes, I believe so. That's an Arkansas and Mississippi State are usually two pretty good programs too. Like 2 or 3 years ago, could we have again in Auburn another Final Four caliber team type on the men's side? It's always hard to step out on a limb and say, yes, this team will go to the Final Four. As I've told you at the beginning of the season, anything less than making the tournament would be a disappointment. And then I would argue that anything less than making the second round would be a disappointment, especially with this talent. I'm ready to tell you tonight, anything less than this Auburn team making the Elite Eight, I'm taking 2 steps up, is a disappointment. They are that good. I don't like stepping out because then I've got to have egg on my face. Can people love to come back and show you the egg on your face in a mirror? I'm ready to say that this team should make a Elite Eight or it would be a disappointment. Rhodes, I think this is a great perspective to have. Wait to see how we say on the road, see how that shakes out. And listen, we're just talking about right here and right now. There's still plenty of season left to be played. There's still road games to be assessed. But right now, this team looks really, really good. And we still got to play. Lee brings up something about the Sooners. Led the Ducks 6-3. Oh, is this about football, I guess? Yeah, it's probably about football. But anyway, we will play the Sooners later on in the year in the Big 12 SEC Challenge. All right, here's what I want to do right now. We're not going away just yet. We'll do a couple more comments and questions and things like that. So get those in right now if you can. Things that you want to maybe talk about with all of that's gone on tonight with Auburn versus LSU. But I want to remind you, as always, check out links in the description for ways that you can help support our content here. Several of you do that already by joining up and being a channel member here for $1 a month. That's the only level we ask you to come in at. That's all it takes. You get access to little emojis and icons next to your name for however long you stay here. You could take it a step further and like several of you do, become a member of the Booster Club on Patreon at patreon.com/E2C Network. Different tiers there that get you different things, help support our content, and helps keeps the lights on. All that stuff is made possible by you. And there's other ways there, our TeePublic store, our PayPal, all that kind of stuff if you want to help keep things going here on the E2C network. Thank you guys so much for your support. The easiest thing that you can do, though, is smash the like button and just be here because you guys are the best little family within the Auburn family. All right, let's back up here and see some of these other comments you guys are saying. Corey says he wished we didn't have to play the Sooners mid-SEC play. I would rather see another SEC game. I discussed this on one of our podcasts last year, I think, where do we like that the Big 12 SEC Challenge always happens mid-conference play? I see some value in that, but I also wonder, should it not be the final non-conference game every year or the start? I think the final one would be a lot of fun. In fact, if you could schedule it for New Year's, that would be a great way, like in the year too. We'll see what happens, in future years. But I do think there's a case to be made for the value of having it mid conference play or at the end of non-conference. Neil Soul says Auburn lacks a true point guard play and will hold it back. We have no real playmaker, and it will bite us against elite teams. Not trying to pick on you, Neil. I don't know where you're getting the whole no playmaker thing. Now, I think you're just saying that there's no real playmaker at point guard. I would still kind of scoff at that a little bit. Have you seen Wendell Green Jr.? Just because Wendell Green is not starting does not mean that we don't have a playmaker. We don't have a true point guard. We do. We do have a true point guard. We just don't need him all the time. Be out on the court because that's how good this team is. And the team works really well together. They share the ball. They share the responsibilities. This is much different than last year, where you had a team that panicked and fell apart if they didn't have a true point guard out there. You notice the difference? We lost Sharif Cooper. We lost Justin Powell. We fell apart. And Alan Flanagan was forced into a role he's not used to. This year, to your point, there's no true point guard out there to start off with, and we certainly ain't falling apart. So I'm going to contend that we're just fine the way things are at this point. It's an interesting comment there. Good to see Linda, one of our Booster Club members, Pearl in the post game, is concerned about COVID. Well, listen, of course, now that I've said the name of the thing, it's going to ding my channel probably. Lord help my soul. Yeah, I mean, we should all be concerned in terms of people being sick regardless, even if it's the flu. It puts people out. It runs through. Auburn's had even recent history bouts with the flu that run through the thing. Everyone's going to have their issues with it. The important thing is that hopefully they'll get through it very fast and no one will have a bad issue with it. Let's see here. Trying to get to some of these comments and questions. Do y'all think Auburn would have beaten UConn if we played like we just did? It's an interesting question to ask, Savage. However, different teams match up differently with each other. And I know that's almost like a cop-out to say, but it's the truth. David, be cool like me and be a mega booster. I appreciate the shout-out, and I appreciate your support, sir. I promise when my child stops draining me from college, I'll be a booster club. Listen, Big, no one asked. I only remind you guys because it's an option, not that you have to do it. You guys just being here is big enough. But that's why we start low too, $1 level, to make sure everybody has the opportunity that wants to do it. Lee says that we'd probably have beaten UConn if we played that game like tonight. We would be 13-0. The good thing about the UConn loss is it's not a bad loss, right? It really isn't. And I feel like every time this pops up, we have to say it. And FSU wasn't called for holding. Wow, we're really bringing out all the feels tonight. Bama has one of the best wins against Gonzaga, but I think Auburn is a more versatile team. People, and this is not just me saying this because I'm an Auburn fan and I got more orange and blue glasses on. Commentators have been saying all season they're concerned if Gonzaga is not as good as last year. And I think you're seeing evidence of that. And that's not just because Bama beat them. It's because they're not as sound across the board as they were last year. Not sound enough to beat Baylor, but they were still the second best team and by far the second best team. Auburn played both number 1 and number 2 and got beat pretty handily by both of them. So it shows you how good they were. Auburn was a pretty decent basketball team in most standards. Last season could compete with everybody, but probably couldn't beat everybody. So I don't think Gonzaga is as good this year, but it doesn't take away from the win for Alabama. That is still a good win for them. I love it. I love it. Houston wasn't called for intentional grading. Houston wasn't called for a lot of things. A lot of good ones being shared right now. All right. I am going to say goodnight to you guys. It is a little bit late. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. Stay tuned. Again, we're still in the middle of holiday seasons. My schedule's still a little bit hectic. So I promise you we will have some more live streams and videos coming out throughout that. But hopefully as that we get to probably around middle of next week, my schedule will start leveling out and we'll get on some more regular content schedule. But stay subscribed, stay on with that notification bell so you know when we go live here or when we're posting a video, and follow us on social media. Whoop, follow all the podcasts too. Appreciate you guys being here with us, hanging out with us, and just being the best little family within the Auburn family. Until I talk to you guys again, War Eagle, we are the best in the SEC right now.